So I haven't uploaded in a long time, and that's because of the type of work I'm doing. So I haven't had the availability to be able to do that. But you know what? I was like, bump it. I was watching Louis Rossman, got some inspiration. I said, I'm just gonna do it. Just gonna start recording just to do it. I kind of wanted to talk about the the anime that I watched during the summer of 2022, which is a good amount, but I just never sat down and recorded it and had the time to sit there and record it. Audio's kind of trash, but I'm just gonna, I can only work with what I got. So let's see. I watched a good amount on a weekly basis. I was watching about it kind of went up and down, but I was watching about 9 to 10 different uh, uh, shows that week, and I usually watch like all on Saturday, so I like binge watch Saturday and Sunday, and then get it all done. But basically, this is my whole overview of everything. Since there's too many episodes of all those combined, I'm just gonna talk about every single one for a whole summer. So this is just the whole summary of summer 2022, and then I'm gonna make another video about the upcoming seasons. Where technically we are in the season. I think it's fall. Yeah, fall. And I'm just gonna talk about that later on. But so Made in the Abyss. This is not in order. At the end, I'll probably just make a list of say my top for like season of summer 2022. But Made in the Abyss, I liked it. It was like I think it was season 2. It was pretty good. It had the action in it. I think with so I love that. I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember her name, but the girl with the white that she wanted to kill all the villagers. That right there, I like that whole aspect of like the conflict of interest. All those people came in there, and were looking just like the girl and her friends were looking for the promised land or whatever they were looking for, the golden city. That's what they were looking for, but she's looking for her mom. So kind of different, but in my opinion, it's about the same. So it was pretty interesting that how they, which I thought they were gonna die either way. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna survive. They're gonna die either way. They're gonna end up losing their life because of the curse, the pit's curse. When once a human gets in there, they turn into like a howl. I'm like, all right, they're gonna die. I'm wondering like when it is gonna happen. But I guess when you take certain paths, it doesn't have it. Which, in my opinion, I think the curse is really just something in the air, because every time they show the curse or something to represent it, it's always like a mist or like a fog or something, and I think it's just something in the air that reacts with the human body badly, and that's when you become a howl. And certain areas don't have it. They probably mentioned something like that probably in the anime, but I just don't remember because again I've been watching a lot. But I think if they had some contraption that would suck the air out or do something with like keeping them from being touched from the outside air or breathing it in, it'll be perfectly fine. But I don't know. This is just my theory of just what I can remember. So Made in the Abyss was pretty good. If I had to give it a rating of 1 out of 10, with I'll give the action. I'll give the action a 10 out of 10 because that was pretty good with how she was fighting all the beasts and everything. And this is beyond spoilers because I watched all the episodes. So this is, if you haven't seen any of it, that's on you. So I gave the action 10 out of 10. Story, we're in one place the whole time really, but we learned about the other people that were there before. I give the story a good 7 out of 10. Could have been a little better. There was some good sad moments, but it wasn't that sad. So, it didn't really get me, but it was all right. It was all right. So I'd give that a 7 out of 10. And then overall the whole thing, it was basically just storytelling and just fighting and action and remembering of old friends and stuff. So the whole overall thing, I give it an 8. I think if they showed a little bit more progression of like our main characters leaving and doing other stuff, then yeah. But I give the whole thing 8 out of 10. It was pretty good. I would recommend it to someone to watch, but not like beginners, because if you're in the junior league, you're not gonna really, you might not stick around to keep watching because it's not something that would keep drawing you in compared to like all the other shows that they have like for the season. So that's how I feel about the mainly Abyss. Now for Overlord, Overlord was pretty good. Uh, I binge watched all the other seasons. I might have missed a season before. I can't remember, but there was so much. I watched a lot of it, and either way, it's just there's just so much of it. I mean, we're on season what, 6? Like it's a lot. No, 6, 4. No, I think we're on season. I think we're on season 4. I don't remember. I don't know, but either way, there's a lot of seasons. It's good. Action is there. You know, of course, it's more drawn out, more detailed, which I like. I would always take more of a drawn out story and actually fleshing out the characters, the environment, more than action and anything else, because it builds a better bond and connection with what you're watching. So you're not gonna miss out on, like, the important details and stuff like that for the actual storyline. So I'd say, what, I'll take a pause on the action. But I have been watching like TV reviews and stuff like that too, on their point of view. And there's some stuff like a lot of good amount of skip content. I don't read manga, so I don't know. I just whatever I see is what I see. I just stick with that. So I really enjoy it. Action again. There wasn't that much action, but it was okay. I give it, but the action that they did have was pretty interesting. He did decimate and desecrate a whole lot of humans in that whole thing. Which I thought Ainz. I realized this around like the end of the season. The deeper we got into the season, the less and less, unless it's just skip content that we missed, and also and maybe it's just actually his development. But he's been talking in like in Ain's character the whole time a lot more than he's talking in his human form in his head. So to me, because this I could be getting it wrong. To me, I'm seeing that he is slowly being more accustomed of what he's accepting where he's at, and I think maybe he's thought about it, like just straight up, like, what, this is all that there is. There's not going to be any more. There's no getting out, and he's just full on Ainz now. Like, that's it. He's not who he was as a human. He's just Ainz. So the supreme overlord. So he put him. I think he's slowly letting that other side of him go, the real him, and he's just taking where he's at now. Because and another reason why I say that is because the whole war that he ended up having with the other nation, because of them attacking, and then he just completely slaughtered that whole nation, that kingdom, with no mercy. I'm like, he doesn't want to. In the beginning, he's talking about not wanting to do it, not really to do it, but not really wanting to hurt people and kill them for no reason. So I said, cool. He has some of that humanity left in him. His undead brain, type of way of thinking isn't just completely like taking over him. But he's just, I guess, stopped talking to us, well, talking to himself really, and we don't see the other side of him, of like the sympathy of like, I did not know they were doing this kind of crazy stuff. He's kind of going all out, especially with all those sacrifices that he did. So I'm kind of shocked by that. That's a whole nother level of, I didn't think he was gonna go and do that. So yeah, so he I think he's going more in the deep end. Maybe in the next season, or the other part, that we see that things might be a little bit different. But so far, he's yeah, he's going full ape mode, and I think it might backfire, because if there is another person from his world that had made it over there, and there's more than one, he's the villain. No matter how you put it, he's the villain, because the amount of killing he did and just slaughtering a whole kingdom, brought it to rubble. Yeah, no one's gonna mess with you, but like, look at the image that you put out. Before, he wanted to be more peaceful. He wanted to, like, make a world of peace, but then he just went and slaughtered a whole kingdom. It's like people's kids and like 4 or 5 generations in won't forget about that, which is kind of a good thing when you don't want to be attacked. but it ain't the best thing when you want to represent yourself as like, hey, we're gonna bring peace around the world, even though we might have to force our hand. And in this situation, I don't think he had to force his hand. I think it was kind of unnecessary, to be honest. It was pretty unnecessary to force his hand to do that. But hey, you know, spoil goes the victor. They're the strongest. They did what they had to do. I'm just shocked that there wasn't as much kickback, especially with the opening. The opening is great for this season, but the opening was really good, and I like the ending where he had that one the Platinum Knight. Okay, I think it's the Platinum Knight, which is technically the dragon, using him as like a puppet. I think he's gonna be difficult to deal with, but if Ainz personally, not his other puppet. Ainz meets him personally in person. I think he's just gonna do that like heart grab or something and just take him out. But I don't think Ainz really want to do that. If someone that powerful exists, he's obviously gonna want to recruit them, and he's gonna have to basically beat that person into submission. I think that's what he's gonna have to do, and or gain his respect to the point where he's like, you know what, I won't mess with you, or how about, all right, cool, I'll rule under you. But I don't know how that might go because the dragon seems like a very wise and smart one, and he might rebel later on. So he might rebel. He might not fully commit. So I give action again for that. It wasn't too much of it. There was a good amount sprinkled here and there, but it wasn't like whole episodes, just multiple episodes devoted, from what I can remember, of just that. So I give the fights that we did have, I give it a good almost 9 to 10 out of 10. Like it was pretty good that we did have story and giving out more information, and the ending, especially with that stinking crazy cracked out princess. We already know that lady was evil. I had suspicion, like, is she a demon like disguised? I was so suspicious of her. I was like, there's no way she's human because the way she just moving and setting folks up, and I wholeheartedly, because again, I watch anime only. I wholeheartedly believe she killed her own father. There's no way. And then she's sitting there with her hands in her blood. She was probably like laughing and happy, and then he walks in, her knight over there walks in, and then she just plays the victim. I know she killed him on purpose. Like, this lady's not this lady's evil. And then it's honestly, I didn't expect the brother to die either. The guy, the fatter brother, I didn't expect him to die. I thought he would at least survive through it or something. But I did not know he was gonna die. I honestly didn't even think Ainz would wipe out a whole kingdom. I thought he was gonna like, you know what? Boom, we're gonna come up to a deal, but this kingdom 100% belongs to me. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. As long as he don't slaughter, he shows some humanity. Then everyone's like, you know what? He's not evil as we thought. No, dude, straight up just took out everything and sat on the rubble as like it was a throne. I'm like, this is bringing it too far. This is a little too far in my opinion, but hey, he was a strong. He has the power. If he wants to do it, then by all means. But I think he kind of went too far, and people that could have been his allies, that could have propelled him forward more in fighting certain artifacts and certain items, it just kind of ruined the situation where now you're just gonna have to fight your way through. So that's something to think about. But that's how I think Overlord. But overall, Overlord, I would say I think the whole thing was a 9 out of 10. I think it was a little bit more crazier action. Yeah, I would 100% give it, a 10 out of 10. But it's my, 9 out of 10. The world. That show was hilarious. I just love the whole setup because I'm a big Isekai fan. I Konosuba, ReZero. Let me see. Technically, Sword Art Online wasn't an isekai, but I'll call it isekai. So Sword Art Online, I am a Rising of the Shield Hero. All the isekais that are new and current or even exist or old, I've seen a good amount, almost all of them. I'd say a good amount of them. I wouldn't say all. There might be some I'm missing, but I love isekais. I don't know why, but I'm a big fan. Even though, like, reincarnating as a slime, they get. I mean, reincarnating slime was good, but even though it's like rinse and repeat for a lot of them, I would still watch it. it has to be decent though. It can't be like a weird title like picking up girls in a cave. Like it can't be something weird like that. I'm just not gonna watch something weird like that. Like me and my mom maxed out at a level of something. I'm not watching. It's just it has to be somewhat decent. But then again, I watched some trashy isekais and I stuck through it, and it was trash all the way in my opinion. But still, the story, animation was okay here and there, but the story was just trash. But I'm a sucker for isekai. I don't know why. I just really like isekais a whole lot. And Uncle from the Other World is a Uncle from Another World on tongue type was beyond hilarious because that uncle was just straight up like it was like a he was an isekai like of course like a regular isekai situation. Loved it, I loved it, and I was like, okay, cool, ideal isekai moment. You go in, he's gonna have powers, this and that, and then they just threw the whole idea of isekai on top of its head, and it's like, oh, the uncle's in a coma, okay, that's typical, and his nephew's about to take him off life support, and I'm like, well, damn, all right, and then we never see the whole perspective of the uncle because he comes back from the coma at the last minute somewhat, and now he has powers that he kept, which I like that you take your powers with you. I think a lot more isekai should have that if you do go back to your other world, because why not? But some isekais you die completely in the other world, so there's no point of bringing your powers back because you're dead. So I like that. I was like, okay, and it was just hilarious on how the whole art is written. I love how the art style is. I love how he's oblivious to like new technology, oblivious to how it typically would go down. You find a cute girl, you save them, and you guys party up and go on an adventure together. Off rip day one, this dude was getting just dogged out. This They were just disrespecting this man, calling him orc face ugly. He gets beat up, almost murdered, sold into slavery. He gets just completely wrecked, which is hilarious on how it all goes down. Then, this is all revealed like later in the show, but um, then he goes crazy in that jail cell. That moment when he went crazy in the jail cell was the funniest thing I've ever seen. He's literally sitting there talking to light, and then he learns a new language. Then he grabs the light like a lightsaber and just goes crazy. It's like it just makes no sense on how you would logically get to that point. But with this show on how it just progressed, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense with this show. So I was like, yeah, Uncle from the Other was beyond hilarious. Sadly, he went on a hiatus, and there was no more of it for now. Um, Hopefully in the future, hopefully very soon, they can come back. But I learned that they went on a hiatus, and it's sad that happened. But Uncle from Another World is beyond hilarious. I loved it. I put it up there. It's not 100% like right on it, but I put it right under Konosuba. Konosuba so far, I think, is the funniest anime that I have. I got Konosuba's hilarious. I got One Punch Man, and then Uncle from Another World is right there. It had me cracking up the whole time. I was just dying laughing because it's like, yo, you are, and he gets himself in situations where this is bad, this is sus, this is suspicious. He can't do that, and his nephew sees that, and his nephew's friend sees that, and it's like, yeah, you shouldn't be in this situation, but he's oblivious to like, yeah, I don't, I think this is complete. I just love it. I just love how that completely goes. It's hilarious. I would 100% recommend it to people, but I wouldn't recommend it to people that don't watch isekais as much, because you might not get the whole. If you haven't watched like at least 5 different isekais, I mean very different on like how it's all set up, 5 different ones to see how it would typically go down on an isekai, and you can realize, okay, this is like basically the isekai fantasy of how you can get the basics of it. If you haven't seen that, I don't think you would really appreciate Uncle from Another World, because you're thinking, okay, cool, whatever, another isekai, but it's like, no, there's a whole twist to it, and it just flips it on its head. I love it. I love it. It's a pretty good concept, good idea. Love the show. I wish there was more like it. Not exactly like what we'll get, but basically where they take the isekai, you take your typical isekai and flip it on its head. I think that's why Konosuba was so funny, because they took the isekai, he got isekai, and he died, of course, in a hilarious way, which is, sometimes they do that. But then the whole adventure of like the goddess that summoned him has to go with him. The people that he has, Megamine, Darkness, all the people that he has are just bottom, like the worst of the worst. And he has to deal with it, and he's like upset, and he just had to keep cleaning their mess. It's just hilarious. I like the whole dynamic and the characters. So Konosuba was like my number one top. I could rewatch that and just crack up anytime. Anytime. I usually rewatch it like maybe every 1 or 2 years. I rewatch Konosuba and just end up just busting out laughing, seeing the movie and in theaters and everything. So that one's definitely 100% like top tier list. And then another one that was pretty funny was which is kind of off top, but the cautious superhero. I can't remember the name, but it was like the hero that was super cautious, and he would just get in the battle and just dip out. It was just hilarious. I love that idea. I said, you know what? That's another somewhat of an isekai, because he got transported to another world, but he didn't die. I don't think he died, did he? Maybe, I don't know. But he got taken to another world, but he is just on a different level of like, yeah, I'm not gonna get myself killed in this situation. I think I just love that. So that's what it reminded me of. I think isekais are amazing. So I don't know. I'm just a fanboy for isekais, but I give that show a 10 out of 10 because it's just pure funniness. The action is funny, especially with this thinking. What was it? The hamster or the rat? No, the rat. It was some kind of hamster rat, something like that. Some rodent. The way he's like, no, let's talk to the beast. Let's see why he wants to kill people. Maybe he's just misunderstood. That sucker said, nah, I just like to kill humans. I just like the way they take. Oh my goodness. That was the funniest thing. He just you know what, pulled the sword out and just took it out. Like, yeah, this thing should not be living. It was the funniest thing ever. But I love that. That was a 10 out of 10 for me. I wish I'm eagerly waiting for more episodes. So that was like top of my list. I was excited to watch it every week. And then so next thing I watched was Shadow House season 2. Pretty good. I story just kept going as long as it progresses like how I expect it to. You're not going to get anything crazy just yet, but it's still fleshing out the characters. A whole lot of dialogue. For the show, it's decent action. Kind of reminds me of The Promised Neverland. Slightly different, but it reminds me of that because, of course, you got the kids and they're in a situation where they have no idea why, and then of course all the information is slowly getting revealed. Kind of weird how they reveal it because you kind of realize it while you're watching, and then they like 5 episodes later, then they actually say it, and it's like, well, yeah, that was obvious like 5 episodes ago. Like, I mean, they should have said it then. I mean, it was in the air. You could have easily said it, but whatever. That was one weird little thing, but season 2 was good. I liked it. I liked the action, the fighting the Phantom, trying to figure out the mystery. That was kind of drawn out. That was like the main arc, I guess. So then the whole situation with thinking, can't remember her name. I almost said Barbie, but not Barbie. But you did see a little bit backstory of Barbie and, like, the stars and how they all got to their situation, the star bearers, how they got to there, and this Anthony, I think his name is, this other character that's not there anymore, and the whole setup. It's deep, man. The thing goes deep. I don't know. I haven't, like I said, I haven't read the manga, but I'm like, if the manga has more information, I feel like this, if they were to like if they do fully adapt it, it's pretty good. Like the whole storyline, and in my opinion, the whole storyline and how it's set up, and Shadow House and the dolls, which are from the human village, and then it does put in your mind because she did say like, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why, because I haven't seen any of this for like 2 weeks now. I don't know why. Dang it. I'm trying to think of the main character's face's name. I know if I see a picture of her, I know how she looks. If I see a picture of her, I could say it. But Kate. Oh my goodness. There's Kate, and then there's Kate, which is the shadow, and there's another one. I can't remember her face. So either way, She made a maybe no, I don't know, but anyway, she made a reference to how stressful it was once she realized the situation they were in, and how she had to act normal, and realize drinking the coffee laced with the shadow, it made it easier to go through what she was going through. And she's like, maybe I should drink it. And I said, you know what, that does make sense. Where if you realize you're before you thought this was normal, this was life, you had no memories of the past, this is just how it is. You're stress free. You just do what you have to do. This is the work. This is life. But then when you realize you're trapped in a cage like an animal, and you can get killed at any moment if they realize you're no longer brainwashed, and you have to act normal and happy and cheery like you were before. When you realize now you're enslaved, that's hard to do, and it puts a lot of stress on you. And now she was contemplating, like, should I just drink it? And then when she came back to Kate's room, it was like, I thought she drunk it for a second. I thought she drunk it, but they zoomed in on her eyes and it wasn't all foggy. So I was like, yeah, she didn't drink it, but she worked up the courage to just keep going on and keep pushing forward. So I like the storyline. Like I said, I can't remember the people's names for some reason, but I remember the whole battle of the Phantom. They found out who the Phantom was. They they had a whole, the two characters, John and Kate, running through the forest. They were running from the Phantom girl. And I remember all of it, but I just can't remember the girls, the people's names. I don't know why I can't remember her name. But I like that. I like the whole progression. I like how she jumped out too. And I said, there's no way she's dead. There's no way. But then again, she might be injured. I don't think she's dead. She's probably injured, weak, and can't fight as effectively as she would when she went to the bridge when they surrendered her to the adults, to Edward. See, I can remember his name. When they surrendered her to Edward, Barbara, what? Not Barbara. I keep saying Barbara, but when they surrendered her to the Edward, and then she jumped off, I think that was pretty good. I said, yeah, that was a pretty good way to go. I don't think she's dead. Like I think she's injured, so she probably can't do anything for now. But we have to see. Her face might be injured because I assume the shadow can't be injured easily like that. It's a shadow, but they're kind of dense soot, so they might move differently. So I don't know. So that was Shadow House. I think I think the whole storyline is pretty good again, because it reminds me of the Promised Neverland, and if it gets like the Promised Neverland where they corral the other kids and they start a whole rebellion, that's gonna be up there on my list, because I love the Promised Neverland. That was really good. And if they do like a rebellion kind of a thing and just completely go forward like that, I would 100% love to see that happen. But the whole thing, because there wasn't that much action, but the whole thing, I'd give it the whole thing an 8 out of 10, because 8 reminds me of like soot for some reason, so I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I did watch the Yakuza Way of Babysitting. I stopped like less than halfway through. It was okay, but I wasn't bored enough to really want to watch it. That's the thing. You had to kind of be bored to want to sit there and watch that. And I was like, I just wasn't bored enough. So I'm like, I just can't really watch this. It wasn't bad. It had a good story. The story was cute, interesting. But I just couldn't watch. I don't know. I just wasn't too interesting. If it was a little bit more action or something, or more interesting, I could watch it, but it was pretty boring. So I was like, all right, I just stopped watching it. I gave up on that, and maybe one day in the future I'll pick it up, but I don't think I will. It just wasn't it. Maybe it got better later on, but it seemed I'm not a big slice of life person. I kind of like slice of life, but I'm very picky on the slice of life. It has to bring me to tears type of slice of life. It needs to be a very good one, like Your Lie in April. Like, I see that as a slice of life. It has to be good. It has to be something that's gonna make me cry. It has to have that action, which I wouldn't call Vivi a slice of life, but it had somewhat of that sprinkled in there. But it had good action, and it could easily bring you to tears and make you think. And it was pretty good on that whole time traveling nonsense. But that's Vivi. So, but yeah, Yakuza, I stopped that. I couldn't keep watching, but that was one thing I did watch. And that was a part timer. I watched that. It was all right. it was a whole lot more slice of life. It was just like, all right, well, is there anything like progressing in the story really? Because all they really did again, like before, they meet someone. Hey, you're not supposed to be here. Oh, you're not supposed to have this. Fight it out. The villain decides, yeah, I don't want to be a villain anymore. Really, like I'm just like, what is this? It's like just constant rinse and repeat on some weird stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I watched it. I seen all the episodes. It was just eh. It was eh, in my opinion. It could have been better, but it was something to watch. I think the first season was a little bit better, but there wasn't much to it. It was just kind of drawn out. So honestly, I give it like a six, about a 6 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it really, but if you're already watching it, you might as well finish it. So that's that. And then what else did I watch? I gained a second class, so I became the strongest in the world. Honestly, I don't know why I watched it, and I never want to disrespect the animators because they worked hard on it. And I worked in someone like in the media production and or digital kind of production and producing like stuff like that. And to have people trash your artwork is not, it doesn't feel good, but it's part of the game. That's one thing I learned and I had to accept it. It's just the art wasn't that bad. I like the concept of him creating on the fly and adding things with other things and it becomes stronger. But I don't know if it's just it didn't get adapted well, but the whole thing was just dog water. It was trash. The story was just not good. It made no clear sense of why. Like it's just why. And then there's no character development. I'm not attached to the characters. I'm more attached to the slimes than I am the main character, in my opinion. I think the biggest thing that made me not like it is probably because we didn't get to know the main character, how his life was before, how he got into the situation, and it just wasn't good. And then the battles were okay, but the animation was kind of weird. It it was just a thrown together thing in my opinion, and I think if the story was fleshed out more, it could have been way better. Like the foundation of it, the basis of how it all kind of goes is okay, but how we progress, it was trash. It's like, oh, you got a tamer ability, cool, yeah, but let me let he doesn't really grow it. Like he fights like I bet you if I counted the type of monsters that made him grow, he fought about like between about 5 to 6 of them, and then that was it. Those were the challenges that he had, and then after that, it was not like, oh, okay, we have the final boss, which was basically him. And I'm like, okay, so the final boss looks like him. He has powers like him. He's a mage like him. So it's him. He's fighting himself. I'm just lost. I don't understand how this makes any sense, and then why they're trying to resurrect the mage from that had died in the past. It doesn't make sense to me. I didn't really like it. Like I said, the concept of him creating the powers and adding stuff, I like that. That's where I also got like reincarnating as a slime. They did that too somewhat, where he absorbed the powers. Whenever he eats someone, he would absorb it and have all these extra abilities and try. I like that concept. I like it. World building, you can constantly expand in different ways of just like, oh, here we're just gonna give him fire powers. Oh, cool, you're level 18. Here's ice magic level 32. Instead of doing that, the person is sitting there having to think, I have to combine this with this, with this, with that, then I can produce this. I like that. That makes a lot more sense. But honestly, I forgot about this show when I finished. It was just not that good. So I would not recommend it, but I give it like a 4 out of 10. I give it a 4 out of 10. I can't say 5. Well, I'd say 4. Again, animation's always okay and decent. It is what it is. But that was kind of the story was bad, so I didn't like that. I did watch uh 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 what was it on my list? The the Biscuit Hammer, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. I watched that. Oh, that I don't know why. I don't know why I watched it. It was the animation in some areas were so. I'm really bad at catching bad animation too. I'm not good at it at all. There's people that pointed out after I watched. I'm like, it looked good to me, in my opinion. It did what it had to do at the moment, and it went by real quick, and it was good. But I even caught some bad animation, and it sometimes you're just staring at a still image, and you're like, why am I staring at a still image? It was bad. Maybe the funding wasn't enough. The character design are dated. I think it's from an older anime, but from the hairstyle, it looked like something you watched like from 2008. Like it was like, what is this? This is supposed to be on Toonami on Cartoon Network late at night. Like this, it made no sense. I was like, this. Why are they fighting? Why is this lizard thing here? Where were they from before? And then now this other chick comes at the end of it. Like, who is she? But every other the creature knows who they are. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna make me read the manga, no. If you expect me to read the manga or know the manga before watching anime, then I'm sorry that I don't see the point of making it an anime. I want to see the manga version is supposed to become animated, so animated, and it might take some extra time and longer, but it's just I don't know, man. It's just not good in my opinion. That was just not it. So I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't agree with them putting that out there. It was just the storyline too was just kind of dog water. It just made no sense. It's like, okay, well, guy dies. Ooh, guy gets punched. One punch is all it takes to kill some of these folks. And they're risking their lives for no reason. They have no valid reason, but hey, there's a hammer in the sky, and the hammer will smash down on the earth if we. It's just like you're just thrown into the situation. It makes no sense. There's no backstory. And then the main character's chick, which is the princess, whatever she is, wants to be the one that destroys the world. They come to find out she's related to the evil guy that they're trying to fight. I'm like, this makes no sense. Why is that her brother? Aren't they regular humans? Her other sister is a teacher. Like, I'm confused. Why? It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. I, I'm sorry, but it's bad. The animation is and I watched it. I don't know why. I'm surprised I got through that. Than the Yakuza. The Yakuza had better animation and art than that, but that Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer was dog water. And I'm not gonna lie. If season 2 comes out, I'm probably gonna watch it because why not? I already finished the first season. I might as well finish the rest and see what else I put myself into. But that was just bad. I honestly wanted to stop it, but I didn't want more on my list and just keep stuff on my list. But that was trash. I just couldn't. No. So I give that honestly a. I wouldn't even come close to recommending it. I wouldn't even save it on my list of things that I've watched in the past because it was kind of a waste. It's kind of a waste of time. But I give it a good 3 out of 10, 3 to 2 out of 10. That was not good. But so then I also watched JoJo Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. I mean, JoJo's JoJo. You can't. I mean, JoJo's JoJo. I mean, it's decent. You can't really, especially Requiem. I think it was Golden Requiem. I can't even say correctly, but that was a good one when they were in Italy. But Stone Ocean was okay. Characters are kind of weird. I like the concept of some of the other ones, like the water guy, and being able to be able to shapeshift, turn into like a gun. I feel like they could have done a lot more things in jail with their ability that they decided just for some reason not to do. It's like they could have broke out. They could have done X, Y, and Z. They could have expedited. They could have literally whooped every person in the jail's butt, held them captive, and then did what they had to do to find her father's disc. But it was like a long, drawn out, like, yeah, we're gonna take our time doing this. Like I don't get why, but in the beginning it was really good when they had the whole frog. They had to go to the courtyard. I think that was pretty good when it got to that point. After that, it was kind of slow down a little bit more. So I mean, JoJo's JoJo. You can't knock JoJo. So I honestly give it like an 8 out of 10. I'd always would recommend JoJo. So It's an 8 out of 10. I mean, JoJo's JoJo. And then I also watched LYCORIS Recoil. I really like the concept. I was actually late to this. I had to binge watch like 9 episodes. I was late when I finally like end up seeing it, and I was like, oh, there's a secret. Which honestly I thought there was gonna be more seasons, but there's a secret underground school of girls that are just like schoolgirls, but they're actually assassins, and they're keeping the Japanese at peace, so there's no violence or crime. I like the idea. I said I really like this. I said, all right, this is gonna be pretty interesting. So watched it. It was pretty good. I think again there was some backstory that they were talking about the tower. They told about it, they talked about it, but there wasn't a lot on it, and it's just like I felt like again you either had to read the manga or they're not telling a good enough story to tell me like enough info to care about the tower because I did not care about the tower. So, but I liked the main character. She was nice and bubbly, and I liked it. It was pretty interesting. Like the art style, like the fighting. I like how she was just dodging bullets like a pro, like it was nothing. So that was something pretty interesting. Um, how the main character and the other girl met, her hair was way too poofy in my opinion. I don't know if it's just how they drew it, but her head looked massive sometimes. I think it was just the perspective that they drew it in. Her head looked massive in that hair, like the side character, that main side character. But I liked how she ended up getting fired, going over there, and then now she wants to be a part of them, and don't want to quit. The hackers. I like the story. Overall, the story was pretty good. I give it a good 8 out of 10. The whole story, action was pretty decent. I didn't really like the villains as much. I don't understand the guy's motive of not like trying to help her out. You're just a tool. Like I don't get the guy's main motive. Maybe maybe if he was a little bit more evil, then I could say yeah, I can understand the motives. But there was no, it wasn't enough to explain that. And then I can't even remember actually. Like, did they even get her other heart? Did she die? Like I'm lost on that part. I was like, what happened? I don't know. I just feel like there was some stuff on. Maybe there's gonna be season 2. But I think there was some stuff that was just not answered. I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. Why? And then come to find, there's another whole section of like boys. I'm just like, what the heck is this? So there's a whole unit of boys that just came up in there and took over. But they're not even like the main headquarters folks. They're just like a subunit of them. I'm like, so this goes deeper. I think it should be fleshed out a lot more. I think there should be a lot more to it, show a prequel, then continue and stuff. But I don't know. That's just how I see it. Like, I think there could have been a lot. There's a lot more that could be shown, just like Promised Neverland. From what I've seen, I don't even read manga, and I'm tempted to read the manga for Promised Neverland because there's a whole lot of cut content, and I did not like how it ended. The story was nice. I like how it went. I like how they're rebellion and going back and fighting and going undercover, but I did not like how it ended. I said, no, I think something's missing, and come to find out there was a lot of cut content on that. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't even pay attention to any of the manga. I don't read any manga. I just watch the anime solely. I just like anime more. So maybe in the future, one day when I have more time, I'd probably read manga. But I'm just an anime person. I don't know. I'm an anime only right now. So that was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good season for summer. Summer was pretty all right. Top contenders 100% was number one was Uncle from Another World. Number two, I would put Overlord. Number three, Made Me Abyss. Actually, no. Called the Night. I really like that. I think I missed. I did miss that. Yeah, I did watch Call of the Night. Him being a one to be a vampire and everything was good. I like that. I like that concept. Went there. I liked how they kind of strung us along. I thought it was gonna be more just like kind of a slice of life late at night. I think I liked it a lot more because of the art style. The art was really nice. I love the nightlife, how it looked. I like the characters, how they're drawn somewhat. I don't like the female character, the other female character that he was friends with at school. They look the same. You change the hair, they look the same. So I don't really like that. So other than that, everything was pretty decent. And then when you get further deeper into the season, that's where it got a little bit more like, you meet other vampires. There's like a brief fight scene where it's like, oh, these vampires could kill. These aren't just like, oh, helpless vampires. These vampires have the power to kill if they wanted to. I like that. So I was like, all right, cool. But if 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 it continues on the way I think it's gonna go, I think it's gonna be a really good season two. Like it's gonna be really good. I love the opening and the ending. That music is beautiful. The opening for Overlord is awesome. The opening for Uncle from the Other World is hilarious. I loved it. Shadow House 2 was amazing. And then what else? I Gained a Second Class is pretty good in the beginning, like the first few like couple seconds, and then it was like but it was good. I like that one. But the opening so far for the season, the summer 2022 was pretty good. It was pretty good. But Call of the Night, I would say Uncle from Another World is number one. Call of the Night is number two. Overlord is number three. Made in the Abyss is number four. And then JoJo's JoJo. Like it's just you gotta enjoy JoJo. It's just you can't diss JoJo, but it's not something I was excited all the time to watch. But it's JoJo, and after that, everything else can go like whatever order they can fight for that. But those are my top. Hopefully, most of these come back for a season two very soon, and it's not like 3 years in the making, but if it takes 3 years in the making in order to get some good animation and the story to get fleshed out, by all means, take the time. But yeah, that's my review of all that I watched. I watched a good amount this season, but next season I don't think I have that much right now. I for fall, so far I only have about two on my list. And I'm about to make another video, which hopefully since I'm doing this like this way of recording, hopefully I'm gonna probably just start what you call it, start uploading for episode by episode, kind of commentating on each episode. I have to get into the rhythm and the motion of that. I could probably do it. I'm gonna try my best to like do it instead of just like just not doing it unless I'm home and stuff. So I want to do more about reviewing each episode and talking about it. So I'm gonna try to do that and try my best. Probably upload a batch a week or so. But the more I have during the week that I can record, more during the week that I watch, the more I can record. But so far, I only have two. I'm probably gonna end up watching like Mob Psycho, of course. Reincarnated as a Sword, which I did watch. I did end up seeing the first episode. That was interesting, but that's later on. And then there's still more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But definitely Mob Psycho. So yeah, if everything goes good, I should be doing like episode by episode kind of review just to talk about it, just to do it because I have the time now. So I'd really enjoy that. But this is my long-winded review of summer of 2022 anime.